trở lại phần 2 của Khéo dùng tiền hôm nay, và mình đang Tâm và anh Tom Nguyễn đang tiếp chuyện với luật sư Mike Võ về nói chuyện về cái luật AB5. Thành ra tiếp theo đây để xin mời mình để hiểu thêm về AB5 cũng như là một số trường hợp scenario của các chủ tiệm cũng như là thợ nail để mình giải thích hôm nay. Thì để tiếp theo phần vừa rồi là anh luật sư Mike có thể là trả lời anh Tom hay là nói thêm về cái luật AB5 để mình tiếp tục cái
thì giống như là Mike nói, anh Tom hồi nãy là nếu mà người thợ là booth renter, the best way là mình nghĩ vậy đi. Mike là người chủ một cái strip mall. Mike có trong một cái strip mall có 6 cái suite. Một cái suite thì một người mướn mở quán ăn đậu mẻ, một người mở ăn người Tàu, một suite là một cái massage parlor, and maybe one is a liquor store. Right? Mỗi người tenant đó là trả tiền rent cho Mike as a property owner, the retail owner, right? Mike là không có quyền vô nói người mà bán đậu mẻ là mỗi burrito phải 5 đồng, phải xài flour của Mike, phải xài bean của Mike. Or Mike không có quyền vô cái tiệm massage nói là mỗi cái massage á, là anh phải charge $50, right? Because the tenant, they run their business, they have their own supply, they set their own hours of what they do, they have their own equipment, right? They get paid by the customer. The tenant only pay me as the property owner the rent.
So does the property owner have a right per se to tell the properties what time to open, what time to close?
They do have in certain retail centers you have to. For example, you mentioned nói hồi nãy, the mall, right? The mall does require it. So cái người chủ á, mà mướn cái spot đó, if that, now let's use the salon owner example. Nếu mà cái người chủ mà mướn cái chỗ đó, from the mall owner, the property manager, they have to be willing là mở cửa 10 giờ sáng tới 9 giờ đêm đi.
Then wouldn't the independent contractor themselves have to obligate to be at that same time instead of tôi vô 12 giờ tôi ra rảnh, hay là tôi vô 19 giờ tôi ra rảnh? Tại nó là independent contractor, but shouldn't they be regulated at the same time?
So there's a separation of cái người tenant in the mall situation is that salon owner, right? He's the tenant. If he wants to bring in workers and say, hey, you must be here at 10.
But those guys are subtenants though. They mướn, they're technically, phải không? They're subtenants.
Okay, nếu mà người what we call the subtenant, the booth renter, muốn vô say 12 giờ trưa về 6 giờ tối có quyền, right? But the salon owner who rents the suite from the property manager phải mở cửa 10 giờ sáng tới 9 giờ đêm.
Đúng rồi. Bây giờ theo Tâm hiểu tóm lại là đây là hai cái agreement khác nhau và independent. Một người property owner trong cái ví dụ này là có nhiều tenant, nhiều ví dụ nhà hàng loại nhau khác nhau, cũng như là một cái nail salon. Trong cái nail salon rõ ràng là cái tenant đó có một cái agreement phải, nếu mà trong một cái strip mall trong cái ví dụ này phải mở đúng giờ, mà trong cái đó thì có cái agreement với thợ employee khác với lại 10 người booth renter. Tại vì người booth renter là tự chủ.
But you can have an agreement with them, with the independent contractor or them to come in at a certain time. Is that binding?
No. So what would happen?
Is that illegal?
If we have a situation where the booth renter, okay, true booth renter trả cái tiền để mà mướn cái bàn ghế rồi á, and cái người chủ á say I want a contract, say là anh Tom phải vô 10 giờ sáng về 6 giờ 7 giờ chiều.
Tại vì cái mall nói mình nó phải vô 8 giờ sáng rồi cái người đó phải vô 8 giờ sáng. So
there's a risk now. There's a risk where we've now misclassified or mistreated the relationship. Cái relationship của người thợ, the booth renter với người chủ. Right? So just because we do it, it doesn't mean that it's legal.
Shouldn't that lessee or shouldn't that agreement be a part of that sublease?
Right.
Which says, you know what, this sublease is binding towards that master lease, and it is binding that you as the individual subleasing this unit or this chair, you have to be here at 9 to 5 per the master lease.
Right. Well,
is that binding? Is
so
that okay?
So the way the law, the Labor Code 2750 applies is what we call in form and substance, or in contract and in fact. You could have a contract, an agreement. We could drop, say, hey, we'll have this agreement, and if later on someone questions the relationship, we'll just show the agreement. right? Just because it's written on an agreement doesn't mean it's going to be enforceable and compliant with the laws. That's different. Because in substance or in fact, the questions that I as an attorney are going to ask everyone is, well, even though you have a contract, right, do you have to show up earlier and leave later because the salon owner says so? Yes, I do. Even though the contract says that you must supply your own equipment, in fact, do you supply your own equipment? Oh, no, I don't. Well, whose equipment do you use? I use the owner's equipment, his nail polish, his acetone, his stuff. Okay, even though the contract says that you get to charge the customer whatever you want, do you really have that freedom, the discretion to do that? Oh, no. The owner states that it must be $20 for a full set and $30 for gels. Oh, okay, well then really it's just written on paper. It's not that you follow it. So we look at both contract and fact.
I see the thing, it's similar to like a kind of franchisee type thing, right? I own ABC Salon. You want to be a part of ABC Salon. You rent this spot and you call yourself ABC Salon instead of like bunch of branches all over the place. This one branch and a bunch of little AB Salon inside. If you want to work at AB Salon, all my AB Salon charges bottom. Right. This is our master franchise. Could you set up an agreement to a franchise type that work in this scenario where that person would be a franchisee for this franchise ABC loan? Would that work?
It's still, again, we look at the relationship. There would be a franchise agreement between the franchisor and then the franchisee, the salon owner, the individual salon owner, right? But now we look at, again, what is that next relationship? Can you tell? Is that person an employee of the franchisee, or are they a booth runner? Right. That's so we look at it at every layer of the relationship between the property owner and then the salon owner and then Ngita. Each of those relationships we're going to scrutinize. The fact that mình có một cái hợp đồng, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm now compliant. The fact that, oh, we do a couple of things that may be compliant, but with some of the other things we don't. I'm good enough, right? Good enough, unfortunately, is not enough. And the reason why is that when there's a dispute, right, between người thợ and người chủ, and let's say there's a separation, well, if an attorney gets involved, right, most attorneys will look at all the factors. Did they follow all the factors? Not, is it good enough? Is it compliant? If it's not compliant, you get a lawsuit. Or the Department of Labor comes in, right? The Department of Labor doesn't go by, is it good enough? Is, did you do these things? Right, so that's the risk that both the technician and the salon owner has. It's not a liability only for salon owner. It's for the technician.
I see this law is going to make it really difficult for the small business owner, for the small mom and pop that opens a small shop, hai ba người thợ, whatever. It's going to weed all those mom and pop businesses out, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of small mom and pops.
So that's one of the areas of discussion that I have had with Antam as part of the Pro Nails Association. You know, how do we work together as an industry, salon owners, technicians, students, to protect the industry? Do we need to create exceptions or carve-outs of the rule? And you know, maybe for another segment, talk about the carve-outs and how it works, because I think a lot of people are confused about what the term carve-out or what an exception to the rule is. But these are the type of discussions that we want to encourage the industry to have. Because if necessary, do we look at Sacramento? Say, hey, we need to change. We need to change the laws so that it benefits all parties involved, right? And I think what happened is that AB5 wasn't necessarily, you know, catapulted by the issues going on in the salon industry. It was really the gig economy. And we are kind of the, you know, indirect, I mean, we are directly affected, but it ultimately came down and affected the nail salon industry, right? For the first time in a long time, I'm seeing in the labor code where there's an express provision that states the manicurist. Right. So the law says that, when I go to the law with you, that this subdivision, this test for independent contractor will no longer apply January 1st, 2022. On January 1st, 2022, we're going to apply what we call the ABC test, which is based upon that California Supreme Court decision called Dynamex, right? Under ABC, it's almost impossible.
So bây giờ mình có khoảng chừng 2 năm phải không? About 2 years
About 2 years,
before
Right.
before the actual
ABC,
enforcement.
yeah.
That's right.
But the law currently right now, it still makes it almost virtually impossible for independent contractors because the tests, the factors that we look at, it's very hard to meet those factors unless you're a true booth renter.
Bây giờ hôm nay để mình tới giai đoạn hết giờ và chắc chắn sẽ mời anh luật sư Mike quay lại với chương trình Khéo Dùng Tiền, tại vì cái topic này đang rất là timely và rất là hot, và sự thật là có nhiều câu hỏi lắm, nhiều câu hỏi và như là anh Tom đã đặt ra cho mấy người chủ tiệm nail. Thành ra nếu mà đây là cơ hội để mình đoàn kết, nhất là người Việt mà chủ tiệm nail, để mình đoàn kết, mình hiểu được thêm do mấy anh luật sư, cũng như là để mình có một tiếng nói ở Sacramento. Vì vậy trong chương trình Khéo Dùng Tiền sẽ mời anh Mike, luật sư Mike quay lại, cũng như là anh Mike trong chương trình sắp tới ở ngày 22 tháng 1 này, anh Mike sẽ tới trường thẩm mỹ Advanced Beauty College để trình bày miễn phí cho cộng đồng chúng ta lúc 9:30 sáng, để chúng ta chủ tiệm nail trong ngành nail mà ảnh hưởng có thể tới để tiếp chuyện với luật sư Mike ngay ngày 22 tháng 1 ngay tại trường thẩm mỹ ABC. Bây giờ là mình ngưng tới chương trình. Tâm cũng xin cảm ơn quý vị đã lắng tai nghe, và xin anh Tom cũng như là anh Mike có đôi lời.
Tom xin chào quý vị.
Cảm ơn Tom very much. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you Mike for xin cảm ơn.